Hello, welcome back to the studio. We are here going to work on the last of our basic weaves. That is going to be the satin weave. What you need for supplies is your loom. I have already warped mine. If you do not know how to do this, please go back to video number 1 where it shows you how to warp your loom. In that video, I warped it with this yarn. Please go back and take a look at that. Take a moment to go ahead and warp up your loom. Make sure that you have every one taken care of, that you have filled every space. You should end up with an odd amount. You will also need at the end your big fat yarn needle. You need your comb, a pair of scissors, and of course your shuttle, which I also have already loaded. You are also going to want to have your paper out that shows the 4H satin. 4H means you are going over the warp threads, over 4 warp threads at a time to create this satin. It is this going over your warping threads that creates that really soft satiny feel that the fabric satin is so well known for. Now remember, that is satin as a weave, not as a descriptor. So there can be other fabrics that are satiny, using it as a description, but that does not mean that the weave itself is a satin weave. This is very particular, meaning that you are going to go over a large amount of warps, under one to hold it in place, and then over again. And we're still using that over under that we did in the plain. We are just using it in a different number format. Now, like the twill weave, this is a repeating pattern. If we look here on the right side, you can see I'm going to start by going over 1, under, over 4, under 1, over 4, under 1, over 4, and then it repeats. My row 2, I'm going to go over 2. My row 3, over 3, my row 4, over 4, and my 5th row, I actually go under, and then I continue on my pattern. Now, after that, that is my repeating row. Here I am again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm just going to repeat. If you want to start on this side, it's the same, but what's happening is it's reversed. Instead of starting with 1 over, you're actually going to go ahead and start with 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. I'm actually going to start over here on this side, but I am going to be going up. So technically, I guess I'm going to be doing this. We'll start right here. We'll be going 4 up, or sorry, 4 over, under, 4 over, under, and so on. And then when we come back, we are going to follow this side. So here we go. Just keep an eye on your pattern. I often make notes on my paper. I know you can see some little scribbles over here. This just helps me keep track of what row I'm on. Sometimes I actually will take a pen and I write down every single time I do a row. That way I don't lose track of if I'm on row 1, 2, 3, or whatever. Okay, so I'm starting out by just letting this go. And just like it says, I'm going to start by going over 4. Remember, you are starting up a little ways, and we are going to do 3 to 4 inches, just like the others. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go under 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, under 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, under 1. 2, 3, 4, under 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, under 1. Okay. Okay, and here I am. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm doing it the right direction. So my diagonals are going to go this way, which means my next row, the diagonal, has to be right here. So I'm going to do this row going over 3 just because I'm at the end. And then I go under 1, and then I'm going to do 4 again. Under 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Under 1, and then we're going to check it after this row to make sure that I'm right, because, you know, weaving can be tough. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then under 1, and then there we go. Okay, so let's double check my math here. And this is because we don't have an infinite amount of work. We're working on a limited space, so it's going to be different. Okay, so let's just check what our math looks like here. So my first row, I went over 4 under 1. So I've got over 4 under 1. The second row is over 3 under 1. So over 3 under 1. So I did do it correctly. And it looks like I might not get to these until I get to my 5th row, and I think I will probably bind my last one. But let's see which row it is that ends up binding it. So what I'm going to do now is my next one is going to be over, if I'm over 3, 1, 2, 3, my next one is going to be over 2 and under 1. So I'm going to go over 2 under 1. And now I go over 1, 2, 3, 4 under 1, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, this is weird because we don't have an infinite amount, and so we're going to end up with some loose edges initially. We'll have to get into our weave a little bit more before we start binding those edges. So what we can do, if you want, is we could leave this here if that helps make more sense. Actually, let's do that, because when we tie this off, we can actually go in and loop those in so they don't get unhooked. That's a good idea. So actually, let's loosen this up and leave our loop real big on each side that go all the way past our last loop. Okay, instead of tying it up tight, we're going to come all the way past here, because that way when we tie off our strings, we can run right through these extras and make sure that they stay. That part might make a little more sense when we get there. Okay, so I'm going to scooch up my rows. Oh, we can already see kind of a diagonal happening here. Okay, so now I'm on my 4th row. My 4th row, and I've already gone over 4, and so my next row here, I need to go under here. So this one's going to be my under, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually need to come under this one too. So I'm going to go under 1, over 1, 2, 3, 4, under 1, 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 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, under 1. Okay. Now this one is the one that locked that in. Interesting. I thought we were going to have to get to like the 5th row. Okay, so this one we can do a little tighter because it's going around the edge. This one, let's do this as we go so this doesn't get messed up. So I'm going to take this, and I know that this is past my 4 inches, cut my fresh edge. Okay, I am simply going to, how do I want to do this? I want to make sure that I catch this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to be over. So I think I'm going to come up underneath like this. Yeah. and that's just going to help that loop not get caught back under every time I go to weave. Now this side, I'm not going to be able to do that because it's going to be our ending string that's going to come through and fix these ones, but we can take care of this side. Okay, so now what needs to happen is my next one in my diagonal, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the one that I'm going to go under. And if you look here on my 5th row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I go under the first one. So we go under and then over 4. Under 1, 4, under 1. Okay, now, even with just one set, if you run your finger across this, even though we have some looseness over here, you can feel this one's a little bit more puffy. This is where that satiny feel comes from, even though my yarn is quite fuzzy. Okay, so I've done 5 rows, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to copy my first one. I'm going to copy the first one exactly, and I'm just going to keep going. So, my first one, I was under this row, so I'm going to come under this row and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 under, 1, 2, 3, 4 under, under, 3, 4 under, 2, 3, 4. And remember, I'm keeping my little loops over here. Okay. Now on row 2, go over 1, 2, 3 under. I'm just trying to find a way so those don't get caught up here. There we go. There we go. Now, one, two, three, four. This one goes under. So I'm finding this side a little bit challenging because my loops that are up keep getting untangled like this side. So I think what I'm going to do, let's do this. We're going to open up these loops just a little bit. And we're going to do this with a different color string so it makes a little bit more sense, I think. Okay, so I've got a green string here left over from my last weave, and I'm going to get one more. See if I can find an edge. There we go. Okay, so I wish I had 2 needles. That would make it a little bit easier. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot like right down here. That way it just kind of stays in place and I don't lose it. Yeah, that might be okay. Okay, so because these are they're gonna fall out as we're going back and forth warping, because they're not actually, some of these are not actually attached to the end warp, which is just what it is when we're doing this kind of a weave. If we were on a big industrial machine, that machine would have hooks in either side and these pieces would stay, but we don't have that. So we're gonna kind of make our own hooks. So what I'm going to do is just take this green, and I'm using green so you can really see the difference. I started using the black, but I could tell that it was just getting, it was looking a little mixed up and confusing. So I'm just going to start wrapping my green thread around like this to just help these last ones stay in place. So my weaves don't get like all mixed up and out of order and I don't mess them up, right? Like this. This is almost like our selvage. We are creating a different weave on the very edges. And again, sometimes that happens because of the way this works. Now this one already came out because it's not actually attached to anything. So I'm going to stick this back under there just to get it to stay. And pull these down a little bit. Now that satin stitch makes a lot more sense. And I think what I'm going to do is just make another one on this side. So I guess you are going to want to add in your supplies a strip from another color. So I'm going to tie a knot down here again, just to help it stay in place. Okay, cut that off. Okay, so again, if I had another needle, this would be a lot easier. So I'm going to have to do this with just my fingers. Oops. There, I got my first loop. I'm going to go in between my stitch. I'm going to go in my third loop here. Okay, now my next one, this is one of the ones that is not attached to the end. So I'm going to come in and I'm looping it in just to hold it because it's going to sneak back, and that's making it really hard to keep the tension on our stitches. So I am doing this just to help us keep that tension so this stitch makes sense. Okay. And by doing that, I can actually tighten it up a little bit like it's supposed to be. There we go. That looks a lot more like it and feels a lot more like a satin stitch. Okay, so here we are. So it looks like we're going to be running this in every one. Now, you don't have to do this if that openness is okay with you and you don't get it all mixed up, but I really think that this is going to help you. And all I'm doing is basically a whip stitch. Now, we did that with the aljibres, if you recall. It's just a whip stitch. I went in between my stitches, so like I've gone in my stitch, now I'm going to do one in between my stitch. Now the next one I'll go in my stitch and then in between my stitch, and it's going to be the same thing over here. So on this next one, on my next row, which is where I am now, I need to be right there. So I'm going to go over, under. Now I'm going to do my 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, under. 1, 2, 3, 4. Under, 2, 3, 4, under, 1, 2, 3, 4, under, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, because this is not going to be attached here at the end, right? So that's what this green is going to be for. I'm just going to loop it around. And essentially, we're just creating our own selvage. So now I can go ahead and pull this a little bit tighter because I'm creating my selvage down here. I'm going to go ahead and just make that a little more snug. Okay, and that will pull that way. Use my comb to pull that weft down. Okay, now when I come back this way, let's see, I am on my 4. So my next row, because I'm over 4, so my next row is going to be under. So under, over 4, 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 and under. Okay. Now this one is already caught on that last edge, so I won't actually need my green here. I'll just loop past it so I can have it ready for the next row. So you can see it's kind of just spiraling around, holding those stitches in place. And I don't know what to do with this one yet because it solely depends on what I'm doing here. So I've got over 4 and under, so my next under is going to be this third one right here. I go over 4, under, and that can't be right because that's the same one that I just did. So let's figure out where I am here. Oh, I can see the error I made. So I made an error in this row. So I'm going to come back and get out of this row because I did that last one incorrect. And I think it was just because I come back from doing the selvages. Okay. So I got to come back all the way out because mistakes happen sometimes. And then you see it and you take it out and you check it and do it again. Okay, so I have to be under this one. And I didn't do that. I skipped it. So it made me off. Okay, so I'm going to untangle my selvage string. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be under this one. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Under. Yes. Under. 1, 2, 3, 4. Under. 1, 2, 3, 4. Under. Okay, now how do I know that I did that row wrong? You might ask. Let me show you how I knew. When you look at your diagram, these rows, these diagonals are perfect. So you can see that you are going under the single stitch one stitch before the previous one. So I can keep track that way, and I found that I didn't do that. So that's how I could tell that I kind of messed that one up. So the good thing is I caught it before doing too many rows, because if you do too many rows and it was wrong, you have to go back through and take out all of the rows, and that can be a bummer sometimes. Okay, so now it's correct. I'm trying to get all my stitching in there so I see the satin weaves. Okay, I got it now. Let's see, so now this one, I go in my diagonal, I'm going under this one. Okay, under, three, under. Okay, and this one is going to need a twist through to hold that for my selvage. I might come up in here. Yeah, that's looking nice. This one's going to miss, so I'm going to loop in, and that's my selvage. Oops. Nope. I got to twist around my end first. And now I can go in. There we go. Yeah. And then I can pull that tension tight so I can really get my weave in there. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. So I have to go under this one. So it's over, over. So this one is under, over, over, under. Yeah. Over, over, under, under, over, under. Yeah. Now I am just going to do this twist around. Even though it's already going around that last one, I need to make sure that my selvage yarn is going to be able to get past the next one. So I'm ready for the next. So this one here, I can see this is the one I need to go under. So I'm going to go over these four and under this one. So over, over, under. Over, over, under. This one came around, so I'm just going to loop my selvage around. Okay, we're a little bit over 3 inches. I think we're going to call this good. I am going to give this one more loop around so I can tie it off with my green selvage so it stays. And I think we're going to have to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to untie this knot. Oops. No, I'm going to just tie this one in a knot. There, that way it'll stay. Okay. Now, I think this one's a little bit harder to see in this light. There we go. That's a pretty good edge. You can see we're in a diagonal here, very similar to the twill. But when you run your hands over this one, it's going to feel a lot smoother because you have so much more surface area that is happening with your over 4s. So this, if you were to have done this out of a thread or a yarn that was a fine silky type texture, you could see why this would be so soft. Because even with mine, I have a very fuzzy yarn. Mine is actually very soft. Okay, so we're going to cut this off and handle these just like we did the others. Move this guy out of the way. Need a pattern weight on here. Okay. Now you won't be catching up every single one just by nature of what this weave is, but we do want to make sure and catch the ones that we can. So we are still going to be tying every one in a knot, but only every 4th will catch that bottom row. Or wait, every 3rd? Every 3rd will be catching that bottom row. I'm going to tie this last one. I'm going to include the green selvage yarn just to get that to knot off. Okay, and I had already tied this one in a knot, so I can go ahead and trim this. I don't need to run that black back through because I tied it in with the selvage. Let's take care of this side. I still need a pattern weight. Or tie that one in a knot. And there we go. This is our satin. Now, something I want you to notice on this one, if you recall during my lecture, I said the satin was a very fragile thread. And that's because, or a fragile weave, and that's because you have so many over warped threads that you can get stuck on it really easy. And it will snag. And you can see that down here at the bottom. We could not tie into a knot 1, 2, 3 rows. So all of these rows have the potential to just fall out. This is what makes this stitch so fragile. This is the beginning of a run in your fabric. And if anybody has seen a run in tights, this is what that looks like. But here you go. This is our satin weave. This is how you'll be turning it in. This is the back of the satin weave, totally different than the other ones. You can see those diagonals in there. And that all of your satin is just on top. Totally different than your other weaves. You will be leaving in your selvage, so we can see that, and I can look at that on turn-in. And that's it. Congratulations.